My healing didn't begin with cutting my hair, but it is the boldest representation and expression of my freedom that I have experienced since dealing with my grief. In this video, we're going to talk about what does hair possibly have to do with grief and grieving, and why was cutting it so symbolic of the freedom I've experienced. And lastly, we're going to talk about what does confronting your grief head on, pardon the pun, have to do with unlocking greater levels of freedom in your life. Hey, I'm Kelly Nielsen, and having dealt with and recovered from my own profound loss, I created a proven faith-based, neuroscience-informed process that has helped to set hundreds of people free from grief and suffering. So let's dive into the topic of hair and grief. So what does hair have to do with grief? How could those things possibly be connected and intertwined? Well, the truth is, hair is such a symbol for so many things in our lives. Like, hair is a reflection of our identity. Hair is attached to our femininity or masculinity or attractiveness. There's so many things that are embodied in our hairstyle and how we wear our hair. And in fact, since ancient times, hair and the removal of hair has been tied to very deep, meaningful, personal things. Shaving your head at the commencement of a vow back in biblical times was a thing that was commonly practiced. And actually, people who were grieving had been known to shave their head. Hair can also be a representation of what we're trying to hold on to or what we're willing to let go of. How many people do you know that are rocking a hairstyle from like the 90s or early 2000s? Like, we can get stuck in a moment in time and we can keep our hair at a certain style because we're literally frozen in time. So much can be going on with your hairstyle more than you realize, and the way that you carry yourself and present yourself out in the world. It can be very symbolic of either a time in your life that you're trying to stay or a way that you want to present yourself, the identity that you want to project to the world. So healing can be internal and express itself externally. So again, like how you wear your hair and whether you decide to cut your hair or change your hair oftentimes can be connected to communicating outwardly a change that has happened inwardly. As I mentioned, throughout history, hair has carried deep meaning. It has been a symbol for strength. It also has been attached to mourning and reflecting and reflective of a time of renewal. If you are currently struggling with grief and you're wanting some help with this, check out the link down in the description. But why would something as simple as letting go of our hair or changing our hair be pivotal in our grief recovery? Let's talk about that a little bit. It can be a very powerful symbol of relief. We as people, we try to control things. We try to control everything. We control our image. We try to control the things around us. And that is one of the things that we get confronted with when we experience loss, is the reality that we can't control much of anything. We are not as in control as we thought we were. And so embracing that and letting go of that, practicing the art of letting go, practicing the art of just giving things up, as simple as your hairstyle. Giving up your hairstyle can be kind of a radical step and a bold step in freedom to just let go. It also can be attached to our identity. As we said, one of the things that people grapple with so much when they go through grief and loss is a lot of times when you lose a person, your identity might be very closely intertwined with that relationship. For example, if you lose a child, your identity as a mother, right? That can be something that you really have to deal with and think into and potentially re-explore or rediscover who is your identity now, or how has your identity been changed after having lost a child or a spouse or whoever it was that you lost. And again, our physical appearance can be a strong representation of our identity. So when we change our appearance, it's like an acknowledgement that our identity has changed, that we are no longer the person that we were. I tell people all the time, this is a mistake I see a lot of people making when it comes to grief and loss, is they'll say, oh, I just want to get back to the way I was. I just want to be the person I was. Well, my friend, that person is gone. Like, the person that you were before your loved one passed away is gone. That person doesn't exist anymore. And trying to get back to that person is a waste of time and energy. You're going to be forever chasing something that no longer exists. The better reposition is to understand that person is gone, but there's a new person here. There's a new person, the changed version of you, the changing version of you that is here and available to be revealed, available to be enjoyed, available to live a life. And so sometimes changing our hair or even shaving our head can literally be a time of rebirth, regrowth. Like you've literally cut off what is in the past and you're here ready to experience the present and discover the present. Discover this new person that you are. Instead of forever perpetually grieving the person that you were, it's about accepting and receiving the person that you are and the person that you are becoming. And changing your hair can actually be a catalyst for that. It can be an understanding of this new identity, this new person that you are and you are becoming. You can step into that in a very bold way. Another piece that I want to talk about is that grief and memories are held in our body, and I dare say in our physical hair as well. There's a lot of stored up energy that hangs out in our bodies and in our hair. And so there's something very freeing and, again, like kind of cathartic and transformative about cutting our hair or changing our appearance. It's like we're saying yes to this transformation process. Instead of resisting it, instead of denying it, we are leaning in and acknowledging, like, yes, I am different. Yes, things are different. And we are, again, like not fighting that process, but we're leaning in and learning how to cooperate with the process of transformation. We're not despising it or begrudging it anymore. We are now collaborating with it. Another thing for me personally, especially as a woman in America, so much of our, attractiveness is tied up in her hair. And so this for me was like, I don't care what other people think. I don't care what is culturally or normally acceptable. Like, I'm just breaking up with and letting go of all other people's expectations of me. And I'm doing what works for me. And that is such a powerful, like, mirrored process that we go through, or rather need to go through when we're grieving. You'll find that when you're grieving, people are going to have expectations of you. People are going to think you should handle it a certain way. You should mourn a certain way for a certain period of time. Like, a whole bunch of people have thoughts about what you should do. But for me, one of the most amazing gifts that I received through the process of grieving was this kind of like, I don't care what other people think, because I learned, as you are learning, if you're grieving and watching this video, you have learned that grief is an individual game. Like, you and you alone are walking this journey of grief and recovery. And so people can have their thoughts, they can have their opinions, they can have their expectations, but at the end of the day, it's up to you what you choose to do. And you're the only one walking with that on your shoulders, right? So if you can learn to embrace that in grief and grieving and let go of other people's expectations, opinions, all that stuff, you can carry that over into other areas of your life. And I'm here to tell you, when you do, it is a freeing experience to disconnect and disassociate from what other people think I should do, and to make the choices that are good for me and my soul, and to be content with that, to walk in the freedom of that. I can honestly say that I am walking in a level of freedom that I have never known. And I also can fairly confidently say, I don't know that I would have gotten to this place of freedom if I hadn't gone through the losses that I went through. So often we despise the process of grieving and loss because it's so painful. It's so hard. But a lot of times we will find on the other side, when we do the work of facing the grief, there's a lot of gifts to be held on the other side of that. So that's our third point, is how can facing grief head on, pardon the pun, how can that actually be the keys to increasing freedom or even radical freedom? Oftentimes, the thing that keeps people stuck in grief is that they don't want to face it head on because it is so painful. We tend to do things like distract ourselves or numb ourselves or ignore the feelings of pain, right? We don't want to be in pain. Who wants to experience pain? We don't. So we may minimize it, we may avoid it, we don't want to deal with it. That's very common. But once you muster up the courage to just face it head on, to go head to head with that thing that is grief, and you grapple with some of the things that I spoke about earlier. When you deal with the intense pain of loss, right? When you deal with other people's expectations, and when you decide for yourself how you feel about it, where you land on certain beliefs and what you want for your life going forward, when you get really solidified and fortified in that, there's a tremendous amount of energy and momentum and freedom that comes from that. Facing it head on is, in my opinion, the only way to go. And part of that is actually naming the emotions and the pain around it. It can be so consuming that we may have difficulty even finding the words for it. But we know now that by labeling our emotions, by literally speaking them out and or writing them out, we know that that in and of itself intensifies the felt experience of the emotion. So if you're feeling really heavy, really consuming emotions, one thing that you can do is just literally name it. Name the emotion, write it out or say it out loud. And that simple act alone is going to help to diffuse, not completely dissolve, but it's going to lower the intensity of that. Actually, Carolyn Leaf describes that process as bringing thoughts into captivity, right? Are we observing our thoughts? Are we observing our feelings? And are we able to label them? Also, facing grief head on, how that helps us step into increasing freedom, is that we need to learn how to integrate the experience of our loss into our day-to-day life. That's one of the keys for healing and moving forward, is not leaving your loved one in the past, but it's rather integrating them and their memory into your day-to-day life and into your plans and goals for the future. How can you include your loved one going forward instead of suppressing the pain or even suppressing their memory and just having that be like a past tense situation? No. Healing and facing grief head on takes your loved one and teaches you a process about how to integrate your feelings for your loved one and their memory into your day-to-day life, so you move forward with them. And in that process is freedom. You have freedom to enjoy them, to remember them, to celebrate them. There's so many things that you can do from that place when you're not actively resisting or denying or trying to suppress the feelings of grief and loss. And then lastly, freedom comes from release. As we spoke about in the beginning of the video, we're so desperately trying to control everything. We think we can control other people and we can control circumstances. We believe the delusion that control equals safety. Well, control doesn't equal safety, and we actually don't have control. The freedom comes from the ability to release. What can we let go of? The amount that you can let go is directly proportionate to the amount of peace that you carry in your day-to-day life. So what can you let go of? Can you let go of the pain of grief? Can you let go of the need to try to control everything? Can you let go of your hair? I'll be honest, I was scared doing this when it took me months to talk myself into being able to have the courage to shave my head. And when I did it, it was so exhilarating. I found so much freedom. And I think one of the first things I said was, why did I not do this sooner? So whatever we can let go of in that area of life, we can have freedom in that place. So I hope you were able to make some connections today between hair and our hairstyle and how we look, and grief and grieving and healing and recovery. So if letting go of hair shows release, but what if the real breakthrough comes when you stop performing for others? Tap this other video to find out what that's all about.